Hello, welcome everyone to this TwinERGY Pan European event. My name is Ana Higueras, and I'm head of project at Ideas for Change, which is based in Barcelona. So welcome everyone to Barcelona. I'm super happy to welcome you today because we are concluding the TwinERGY project, which has been a journey of through three and a half exciting years. And our aim was clear from the beginning. We wanted to enable sustainable energy changes by empowering community participation. These 3.5 years have not been easy. No, we have been through global pandemics, we have been through energy crisis, but our commitment is still here. So we were focused in 5 key goals. We want to enable sustainable futures, meaning that we wanted to allow consumers lower and adjust their consumption to foster global energy savings. Second, we wanted to place local communities and citizens at the center of the energy market. We also wanted to transform roles in the industry by allowing new business models for local energy communities and retailers to overcome major market entry barriers for prosumers. We also wanted to deliver an open and interoperable energy solution, meaning connecting smart grids and energy management systems and smart home devices to enable sustainable, effective, and efficient energy use. And we wanted to provide a worldwide alternative for the energy system. There also have been lots of efforts to engage in citizens across 4 pilots that have happened in Athens, Greece, Bristol, UK, Benetuti, Italia, and Steinheim in Germany. And obviously, we have been adapting to local challenges with resilience and determination. And then we have, this is a research and innovation action also, we have been developing lots of technology modules, testing, and proving it within the pilots. So let's say that this event is not a closure, it's just another milestone because we want to reflect on our achievements and learn from the journey. And it's an opportunity to share what we've learned with not just the TwinERGY consortium experts, which are here today, we have most of the consortium present, but also with external experts. We have today with us Mike Donaldson, who is the Chief Technology Officer and CAO of the Barcelona City Council. We also have Fiona Zimmerman, who is researcher, member, and project manager of the Energy Living Lab Association, and Marc Molleo, which is head of environmental projects at Barcelona Regional. They will accompany us in this first stage of the event. First, at the opening, we have Mike Donaldson and also Stylianos Karatsas, which is the project coordinator, and then we will jump into the panel. So I think now, with no further ado, maybe Michael, you can welcome people to Barcelona, and thanks again for joining us today.
Well, good afternoon. Thanks a lot, Anna, and thanks, everybody. Delighted to have you all here in Barcelona, sunny Barcelona, which is quite good news right at the moment because we're enjoying the city, but you know that it brings bad news. And I guess part of the project that you've been working, it's pretty related to this climate change we need to fight if we want to have better quality of life in our cities. I do know Ideas for Change because we've been collaborating all through these years through a lot of projects. To be honest, I don't know the rest of the partners of the project, but I'll be staying afterwards for the different roundtables. So I'll try to learn what you've been doing. But I was talking to Anna, and she was kind of pointing out some of the key points of the project, and I do believe that they are very aligned on what we are doing here in the City Hall of Barcelona. Of course, it's a different scale. Of course, I know you've been carrying the project in Bristol, but I do believe that, as I said before, this new challenge, this new problem we've got in the cities, well, in the earth, fighting against climate change, it's something that affects not only one city but all the cities in the world. We've got different situation. I mean, it's not the same fighting against the climate change in Norway, considering the climate in Norway rather than in Barcelona. We've got different conditions, as I said, but some of the challenges that we are facing are basically the same, and one of them is decarbonization. One of them is the new forms of energy that we need to produce and to consume in our cities. I mean, we've got new problems. If we're facing new problems, we need new solutions, and that the driver for the new solutions is the innovation. Here in Barcelona, we drive it through what we call urban innovation, which is, as I said, tackling new problems with different ways, different new solutions. And when we talk about innovation, it's not only about technology. It's basically about gathering all the knowledge from the ecosystem, not only from the administration, from the public administration, but from the companies and as well from citizens. As I said, it's when we talk in terms of innovation, what we have to create, and I'm especially talking about the role of the public administrations, what we have to create is the conditions in order to gather all this knowledge around one problem and try to find a new solution. Of course, it's going to be in different scales because we've got different resources, we've got different responsibilities, but we need to know that in this problem that we're facing, we're all together. And if we don't find the solution between all together, we're currently going on the same boat. So if the boat sinks, it's all of us who are going to sink. So great to hear that some of the results you've tested are pretty positive. The challenge when we talk about innovation, it's always about the sustainability of these solutions and how to scale up these results, these prototypes, or wherever the outcomes of the projects. The good news, as I said, is that you're going to be the City Hall of Barcelona beside you if we are aligned, as I said before, for the same goals, trying to solve the same projects. So, as I said, welcome again to Barcelona. Congratulations for the journey, and you'll be having us beside you for the next steps. Thanks a lot.
Over to you, Stylianos. I'm just moving this because, yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like in turn to thank Michael Donaldson from Barcelona City Council for taking the time to open the TwinERGY second Pan European Workshop. And I would like also to thank the experts that we have today with us, Fiona Zimmerman and Marc Montleo from Barcelona Regional. I don't know if I spell or write the names. And they are joining us for the panel on energy market trends and tech innovation. And furthermore, I would like to extend a warm welcome to everyone and thank you for your participation in the proceedings. Finally, I would like to thank all the partners of TwinERGY project that we are today and all this time we have worked together. STAM, Tejaol, Nova University of Lisbon, IES, Community Benetuti, University of Bristol, KWMC, Suite 5, ETRA, WEC, Mytilineos, Bristol City Council, European Dynamics, Stenham, Ideas for Change, Arthur's Legal, and Smarten. Opening the proceedings, I will make a brief introduction of the second TwinERGY Pan European public workshop with participants and stakeholders. We will focus on the main trends of the TwinERGY project, namely digital and social innovation in the energy market for a better citizen experience. Specifically, we will present the technological and social developments of the project, explore the final learnings and results, and discuss good practices and existing gaps and challenges through a series of interactive sessions involving the experts, stakeholders, and the workshop participants. The agenda includes 3 sessions. The first one, Energy Market Trends and Tech Innovation, chaired by Caroline Hassan from KWMC. The second, Pilot Experiences and Citizen Engagement, chaired by Annalie Grims, again from KWMC. And the third one, How can the TwinERGY system assist the needs of the energy market, chaired by Professor Athanasios Hasiakos from University of Patras. Closing this brief introduction, I would like to add that I am especially proud of the work that has been done by all the consortium during these 3 and some months timeline of the project. And I am confident that over these 2 days, we will have the opportunity to explore the results of the project and discuss the future of the energy market. Thank you, and I would like to give the floor to Caroline for the opening session on energy market trends and tech innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mark, would you like to join me?
Pleasure.
So hopefully we have Fiona Zimmerman joining us online. I believe that's happening. Is that happening?
Yeah, I'm here, Carolyn.
Are you here? Great. I can't
Yep.
see you yet. So Fiona.
I can't see you either.
There you are.
But I can hear you.
Can everybody see Fiona? Yeah. So Fiona is from the University of Applied Sciences and Arts, Western Switzerland, and also the Association of Energy Living Labs. She is an expert on co-creation, living labs, and is a doer in social innovation. I really like that term, doer. And so Fiona is going to present some of her experience and some of her thoughts in relation to TwinERGY. And then we'll move on to you, Mark, and I'll introduce you.
Okay.
So over to you, Fiona.
Great. Well, thanks very much for the invitation. Very happy to be with you this afternoon. Thank you for the introduction. So my background, just very quickly, is in environmental management. And then I have worked a lot in business development. More recently, I am working in energy management, and I am a new researcher, I would say, in the Energy Living Lab at the University of Applied Sciences in Western Switzerland. So for the last 4 years, I've been working in Energy Living Labs with lots of different multidisciplinary teams. And so today, I think you've asked me for some, I suppose, insights into energy market trends and what we see as happening in the whole area of energy technology, etc. So I will start then, give you a little bit of insight. I can share some of the projects that I'm working on. I think the first reflection I would have is that innovation in the energy sector is becoming much more multidisciplinary. I think that there was a time when engineers and technology, let's say IT programmers, would have dominated the energy sector. But given the scale of the challenge that we have and the wicked problems we're trying to deal with, we now see lots of different types of people coming together and co-creating and co-designing solutions together. So this has a lot of benefits, but a lot of challenges as well. And I think that's the first reflection. So this innovation also, I could say that it's happening in a more open way. So when we talk about co-creation, we talk about people discussing problems and really focusing on the problem definition and how that could be solved. So I think that innovation is still quite traditional, But more and more, we're seeing more open innovation, more co-creation, and more multidisciplinary teams. So we work with lots of different methodologies, but the Living Lab integrative process is one that we follow. And it's integrative because it brings in design thinking with social marketing, and it really aims to co-create and co-design with users, for users. So we look at things like society readiness level, and we try to align the technology readiness level with the readiness of society and markets to take these solutions that are co-developed. So yeah, the validation process with users and with stakeholders is really important, so that we can have scale up and try and solve these very big problems that we're all trying to resolve. So that's my initial insights. I hope that's helpful, Carolyn. I know you have a question panel, so happy to answer questions and have a little bit of a discussion about that information.
Thank you. Thank you. So over to you, Mark. We'll have the sort of presentations, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So Mark, you're the Director of Environmental Projects at Barcelona Regional, and you helped draft and coordinate projects such as the Environmental Impact Assessment for the Strategic Plan for the Barcelona region.
Yeah, I have some slides. I don't know if it's possible to share them. Yeah. Through here? Or with this? No? Okay. Okay.
Back?
No. Back? Do I have to go back? No. It's not this presentation. No? Well, I can go on and then we can look at the images. One of the messages is Barcelona City Council has joined the mission to be neutral in 2030. So 6 years to go. That's going to be tough and challenging, but also I think it's nice that cities around Europe join this kind of missions. I was just bringing, this is a map that we did almost 10 years ago right now. That's the solar radiation and the calculation on all the rooftops at the metropolitan scale, including Barcelona, of the 36 municipalities, okay? So if we're talking about digital twins, one of the ideas is, okay, that's another way of seeing our city. That's the solar radiation everywhere. So in this project, we were leading with rooftops to calculate the potential that we can get from solar energy at the metropolitan scale for the city of Barcelona. And also right now we are working with the information related to public space, because we can also work with public space for adaptation, so dealing with the radiation to create shades, but also to generate energy. So I know this is I thought it was nice to do the linkage of a bottom-up perspective, which is this one, and what you've been working for the last 3 years, no? You've been working more with a social or co-creation or in the Life Labs, so emerging from small neighborhoods or from some projects related to small towns, and how can from bottom up you can merge. So I think those two perspectives will have to join somehow, and I hope it's in these 6 years that we have in front of us. The next image that I was leaving is, okay, this is, I mean, it's public, so you can look at the map at the Google site, and I put the link here, so you can check it if you want. And the other thing I was going to show, I don't know if there's a video, I don't know if it's working, it's what we're doing also right now. We're working with public information. Those are 3D models of dwellings around the city of Barcelona, and we're trying to model massive behavior of those dwellings. at level of energy demanding, okay? So for cooling or for temperatures, and again, also calculating the demands for lighting and also what are the energy capacities of those buildings. That's theory, so I think it's nice to merge behavior from society, so how is our behavior, and getting consumption data, real consumption data from the base, and linking with the theory and how we can, from a city perspective and from the city council level, promote those changes. I mean, Barcelona has a quite old dwelling system. It's the average should be like around 80 years or 70 years old. So refurbishment of all these dwellings is going to be a must. But we need society, we need the private sector, but also the public sector investing in these changes, because we will have to upskill the city at this level. So it's nice to introduce bottom-up perspective from society and knowing, okay, what do I need the energy, where I can take the energy from, what's my behavioral, what do I need, and link this with the opportunities that the dwellings also are getting us. Probably it's more difficult to do this in bigger cities like Barcelona, or very compact and dense cities, than in other municipalities around the metropolitan area, or in your case studies, which probably more small villages, or it's much more easy to implement, and also to get those linkage from what do I demand, what's my energy consumption, and what I can get from renewables in my area. That was like a small introduction, and then I think the important is the discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's a good starting point, really, for my question to you and then to Fiona, is that we know from this project that supporting people to participate in smart energy markets can take significant support, and education, engagement, sustaining understanding over time. So who do you think should pay for this? and how could it be delivered?
Well, that's for me, the first one?
Yes.
Okay.
Big question first, yeah.
I think that the public administration should help as a trigger at the beginning, and I mean, they've been doing this at different levels, from the country to regional level to city level. If not, it's very, very difficult. In some places, it would be much more easy to implement than others. I just mentioned, for example, in low-density neighborhoods or more low-density municipalities, that they have another issues related to mobility or water consumption, but some of the self-sufficient energy measures that you could implement in this type of buildings, it's much more easy, and you get much more quickly the paybacks, and it's very quickly you will see the results. So why it's convenient? It's convenient obviously for climate, but why also it's convenient for you?
So there's a faster feedback.
I would say this is much more easy, so it would be nice to start from these easier parts, but also you will have to complement with very difficult issues like massive refurbishment in very compact and dense cities, because then you get like both sides of part of, I'm not saying there's only two sides of the equation, but you have maybe what it's really tricky or very difficult to work, and there probably public administration should help, not only with money, but also with the innovation actions. They are also working with refurbishment and looking for solutions or massive solutions, and how testing, and then how you can implement this at a bigger scale, so scaling up. But then working with smaller ones, maybe you will see results faster. So we need, I mean, we're running really short of time, I think, all globally. Yeah. So I think we need to start from everywhere and to attack at different levels, and from the bottom, from the middle, and from the top, and then we will have to find solutions at all the levels.
Thank you. Fiona, do you have anything that you would like to add to that question?
Yeah, so the question is, who should pay first? Well, I suppose it depends really on what stage you are in the innovation process. I mean, certainly at the research stage, many of the public authorities and the government, they are actually investing in the research that's needed. So this is an example I'm sharing of the Swiss Federal Office of Energy and the Sweet Lantern project. So this project helps then to bring all the different parties to the table, the public sector, the private sector, citizens and researchers. So, but at a very early point, we need to get into the business model. And really, there's lots of different, I suppose, new ways of funding all of these projects. And you know, public-private people partnerships are very important. But you know, what we need is new business models. You talked a little bit there, Mark, about renovating. So, I mean, obviously there's ESCO models, there's lots of different types of business models, but we need new business models that are community focused, that bring value not just to individual businesses, but bring value to the public sector and to citizens as well. So we need new finance models as well. But what we really need is multidisciplinarity. We need to bring all these people around the table, and that's really the benefit of Living Labs. So that's one project example I can give you. And then another one that we're working on is called the Open Lab project. That's looking at developing energy communities. We actually have one in Pamplona, which is not too far from you. And you know, through this, we're developing lots of different methods and tools and ways to help positive energy neighborhoods, for example, to be developed. So we haven't cracked it yet. We fail forward and we learn a lot and we exchange a lot. So it is costly. I mean, the European Union is investing a lot of money in it, but it's very open and it's all about exchanging. So I think we will get there. But we definitely, as you said, we do need to accelerate things and speed things up.
Thank you. So I want to move us on to another aspect of this that we've considered during TwinERGY, which is around the move towards more automation versus more customer choice about the use and payment for energy. So do you have any thoughts on, should we be going down the automation or should we be going down the more openness with citizens, more choice for citizens, or are they either or?
I think, probably both, but opening for the society or for the neighbors. I think it's also important that they know and they can manage. It's something that I think energy or other services, it's quite abstract. I mean, you know, you just click and it's there, yeah. But you don't have to know everything about that sector. So. But I mean, since we are running short of time, I think it's very important that people get those, their conscience and their behavior or day-by-day behavior. It's very important. So taking decisions at individual level, it's also very relevant for all of us. So I think anything that approaches that decision and helps because it facilitates, no, around tools, or you've been trying different tools of information or integrating different tools of information at the project level. I think that's very important. But they have to be really friendly, very easy to understand, because you cannot ask everybody to know all the sectors, no? The water sector, energy sector, all the supplies that you get at different levels at your house or your office or whatever. So make it very, very easy. And also trying to relate not only with at the end your economy or your individual economy or the house economy, but link it also to territorial and global benefits, counting other benefits, not only monetary benefits.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important also.
And Fiona, do you have anything that you'd like to add? I think.
Yeah, well, automation. I mean, it's a big question. So, I mean, most of my experience comes from doing some research on this DOMOS project, and we were developing an operating system for smart services in buildings, or have been doing this, and it's a little bit like an app store for buildings. So at the moment, when you install technology in a building, it's very much done on an individual application basis. And this particular technology aims to bring all that together. So, I mean, my research on this has been done by looking at the end users and how they were brought into the whole process. So, I mean, there was some key learnings here, and really, you know, when you're developing these energy management systems, it's like a one-size-fits-all solution doesn't necessarily work. I mean, age is a major question mark at the moment in terms of how people are able to actually use technology for managing energy. And, you know, there will always be different types of personas. There's always be different types of people. You're going to have people that really want the detailed energy data, and then you're going to have a large tranche of people that really don't want their data or their energy systems managed remotely for whatever different reason. So, you know, I think it's really about understanding your customer and, you know, having different options there. So, yeah, I mean, automation, I think it's coming, there's no question, but I don't think that it's going to be suited for everybody. So, you know, again, I think we definitely need community approaches, we need energy communities, we need people having more ownership for their energy and coming together to understand better. We need to improve energy literacy as well. So, but, you know, I'm very positive about the next generations, and I really think that there's going to be lots of big opportunities for managing and automation.
Thank you. So I'm hearing from both of you a sort of mixed kind of approach, technology and citizens. So I'm going to ask one more question, and I'm going to open it to the floor to see if there are any other questions or questions coming in. But do you think we need new or different kinds of regulation?
Well, yeah, for sure, always. We'll have to adapt. Normally, market or private sector or even individuals go faster than administration, normally, at least here in I would say that Spain has moved a lot in the recent years. So we passed from having not really a regulation that facilitates the implementation of renewable energy at all, since we are a country that we have we are lucky because we have a lot of resources, not only solar. This has changed in the last years from regulations. In Catalonia, it's still a very tough area where to implement big projects of renewals to generate. It's still difficult, and it's even more difficult when we downscale it to individuals, what I was mentioning. In some situations on property ownership and type of building, it's much more easy than when we're talking about a city like Barcelona. We've been doing a lot of as a city level, but we still have a lot to do. And we've been moving regulation and trying to facilitate the way to implement it, and to implement it also in public space and force all the projects or new projects to do it. I think doing it in new developments is quite more easy than when you end up to doing it with an old dwelling infrastructure, which is more difficult, but not impossible, and we are into that. But yeah, we will have to move forward and to change the regulations and to always push a little bit harder. And I think it's going to be mandatory, because if we have to accelerate, you have to move, and you will have to find new solutions that maybe now they are not easy to implement. So how we make them possible, not only through regulation, which is very important, but also other perspective will need to be taken care of.
Education.
Yeah, and changing of behavior, or trying to, we've changed at city level, for example, when shared communities of solar renewal, we needed also changes at other levels, at legislation, to facilitate to connect with maybe industrial areas or big roof that can generate a lot, then you can share it to dwellings. That was not really possible not so many years ago. So we're progressing and we're advancing. It doesn't mean it's done and it's very easy to do it, but we've moved. So now it's much more easy than it used to be.
So can I just ask you, what do you think the value of these kinds of projects are then to an administration like Barcelona? So where we test and try?
Well, I think it's an iteration process. So you can get results from other communities where it's much more easy. Maybe you won't be able to apply this to all the neighborhoods, like in a city in Barcelona, but maybe at metropolitan scale or even at regional scale, that you have other types of municipalities and other types of dwelling. Maybe some solutions are easier to implement there, or maybe in some urban fabric morphologies that you have in the city, maybe for that part of the city it's interesting and it's useful and you can apply it there. Maybe it's not working in other types of morphology. So I think it's interesting always, and learning from other situations also can, well, give you ideas or give you solutions that maybe you have to adapt or modify, but I think it's interesting.
Great. So can I ask the audience if there are any questions, or are there any online? Pardon?
Online, no.
So can I invite any questions? Professor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We are trying to think not about today, but for tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. We are talking about market trends in energy. And I guess we know quite well now what is going on. But the question is this something static? Can we predict for tomorrow what the energy market trends will be, so that we can start to think about how to solve problems?
You want to take it from there, or?
I'm not sure.
No.
Pardon? It's a bit of delay. Do you want to kick that one?
No. Market is not static at all. It's going to be moving, and at least in Spain, it's going to be moving really fast. But I think not only in Spain, in Europe. I've said it now maybe more than 3 times, but I mean, we don't have much time left to really. The change that we have to do, not only in energy, it's really massive. Maybe we cannot imagine what we have to in front of us, but I think it's very, very, very difficult to do it, and we have to do it quick. And so market, but not only markets, I mean, they will have to move fast, and they are moving really fast. I mean, when you look at historical graph of demand, now in Spain, the peak hours of solar energy, you see that the demand has been really reduced, and this is due to auto consumption. I mean, there's a lot of houses that are investing in energy, because now it's much more easy to implement. When for example, all the battery sector is going to be cheaper and reducing also prices and working, saving energy in battery system that then you can at night charge whatever, or use it at home. That's also going to be a big change. Now it's very difficult to implement this in a city like Barcelona, but it's going to be for sure going really fast, and it has to be really fast. So yeah, it will move.
I totally agree.
Fiona, do you have any comments you'd like to make? Fiona?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with what you're saying, Mark. Look, we know what the problems are, and we have the technology to provide the solutions. We need to make the trends as well, rather than just follow the trends. And it's not a big mystery. We know what we have to do. So it's about getting people together and making it happen. It's about working together with communities, really, and not thinking about where can my organization make a profit. It's really about through the trends. It's really about how can we collaborate to solve these big problems.
Thank you, Fiona. Can I invite any more questions from the audience? Any more or any more? Annalie.
Thank you. Yeah, it's something in TwinERGY as well where we co-design technologies with the communities, but we're looking at the legacy and really making it co-beneficial on the long run. I mean, especially with the living lab work in the energy sector, do you have any advice on how we can ensure that does take place? How do we really co-design and develop with communities in a true sense?
Fiona?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to start with the problem. We've got to all get on the same page. And the big challenge is actually, I believe, developing a common vision. So, you know, there's lots of different ways to imagine the future and then to bring us back to where we are today and figure out how we're going to get there together. But having a common vision is super important, and really being on the same page in terms of the problem, because there's no point in developing solutions if we're not on the same page.
Thank you. Have we any more questions? Gentleman in the blue.
So you mentioned that Barcelona's buildings are very, very old. And I imagine there's a privilege for the ones at the top that could install solar energy, and the units at the bottom that get very little sun. So these inspires to, in a sense, have some sense of community within a dwelling. Is there any progress or incentives from the market, from the government to at least within the same dwelling have a more aware or community management of the energy needs of a building and what could be done to use sustainables for a dwelling that is that old?
Yeah, I think Fiona mentioned some of them, like ESCOs or things like this. I mean, but also there are public budget that different communities, if they obviously submit to the requirements, they can get to implement or efficiency aspects of improvement on the dwellings, but also to generate. I mean, sometimes it's not easy to get them. It's complicated because you need technical support to do it, but it's feasible, and there's money to implement it, to do it, so it's possible. Sometimes the difficulties that when you have a lot of vertical house, a lot of high blocks, it's not so. I mean, not everybody is owning that house, and it's not easy to put together or the community and say, okay, I get the permits, everybody wants to do it. Not everybody is owning the flat. We have a lot of renting, so that makes it more difficult. And then it's not the people who's living there, it's the owner of the building who has to be also willing to refurbish and to implement this generation of energy in his building or her building. So it's not always so easy for this part, but we're doing it. I mean, it's possible to do it.
Thank you. I believe we have one question online.
Yeah, and it's very much related to what you've been discussing, but
Okay.
Javi Creus asks, how can you get a community of owners in a building to invest in solar and retrofit? Which is very much aligned to what you were.
Yeah, well, I just mentioned you have public budget and public help. Also, the difficulty is to put together all the willings and saying, okay, we go for it, and then search for the money, do the project, ask for the money. So sometimes the money, I mean, you have to advance it, and it takes 1 year that you get returns. But at the end, it's not only the return, immediate return. I mean, you will get in a short term, you will get other compensation. So that's also very, very important. Yeah.
So I'm going to wind up with one last question to you both. What's the one thing that you would have us all do to improve our energy future? What's the one thing that we should all be doing in this? in this consortium, this project, this building?
Maybe I would say make energy more easy, understandable for kids and young people.
Because they're our
maybe.
future.
Because it's the tricky part.
Yeah, yeah. And Fiona?
Yeah, I'd say renovate your own house. You know, really put your money where your mouth is and, you know, experience that yourself and show others as a good example of what you're doing. I mean, it's not easy. I'm doing it at the moment myself, but I've learned so much. I thought I knew a lot about energy and renovating and barriers and incentives, etc. But living through it is another story. So I would say go and do it yourself. Walk the talk.
So do it yourself and educate our younger generation.
Yeah.
Thank you both of you. And now I'm going to hand over the next session to Anna-Lee Grimes, who's going to chair it. And this is presentations about each of the pilots. So thank you.
Thank
both
you.
of you.
Great, that's it. Hi, so my name's Anna-Lee and I work with Norway's Media Centre, and we've been supporting this project, specifically the pilots around engagement and the methodologies that they brought within their specific localities and situations. And so without further ado, I'll invite all our pilot leads to the front to come and tell us a bit more about what's happened and successes that's been on the ground. They've all been very uniquely different, and I'll hand it over and you'll learn more. So we had 4 pilots. Okay, the next one. Great. Welcome. Nice to have you here. So, we had 4 pilots. We had in Italy, in Benetutti, and then we had in Greece as well, in Athens, and we had in Germany, in Hagedorn, a small village, and then in the UK, in Bristol. So we'll start with Mattia Reposi from STAM, who led on the Benetutti pilot. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. As Anna-Lee mentioned, I'm Mattia Reposi, and I'm the head of industry and innovation in the digital solution and business area for STAM. And I'll try to give you a brief outline of the Benetutti pilot. And to do so, I'll try to tell you a story. So everything begins once upon a time, in a town far, far away, and we're talking about a small community within an island. So we're talking a place where there is a sense of isolation which has been very, very present, and the community is kind of struggling to find their own spot in this energy revolution, and it's quite complicated. So this community is on the verge of becoming one of the first Sardinian smart communities, which is a very, very amazing step forward for themselves, for the region, for the nation, and for Europe altogether. So this kingdom far away in Benetutti, as you can see from the map, it's a very small municipality in the province of Sassari, which is not on the coast, as you would imagine in Sardinia, but it's an inland, so this makes it even more isolated in this kind of sense from a geographical point of view. And there was a very strong community and rooted community that dreamed to manage its own energy, but how? I mean, this is something that everybody kind of looks forward to, but it's, in the end, it's very, very complex. So we engage with them with 20 facilities, a few houses, schools, shops, 82 residents, more or less, all together with more or less 10 megawatt of power managed throughout all the different facilities. And so the project TwinERGY came along in a way to kind of solve all these problems. And what happens was, at first, there was a massive deployment of technology, which was very complicated from the actual practicalities, because we deployed more than 100 sensors and actuators altogether between the 20 facilities. But we soon figured out that engagement was really where the value was, because we can manage technical issues, we're good at it, but the hard part was getting people involved in the end, and also because you got to think that all this massive technology, all this value, it's within their houses, so it's a private space, so you can't really just go in and out every time and everything. You need to really build trust, which was key. To do this, we tried to arrange as many face-to-face meetings as we could, workshops, dinners, which work very much, publication on local and regional media, and lastly, some surveys and questionnaire to get a bit of a feedback on what we did. And so after some bumps and turns on the road, namely, again, as I mentioned, high-tech devices in homes are challenging just because homes are very dynamic. Things change, renovations, people coming and going, tenants. So there is really a lot that needs to be done to keep this technology alive, especially for a fairly long amount of time. I'm talking about, as Stelio said, more than 3 years altogether, as this was done in the first part of the project to get a good baseline of data. The language barrier seems very, very simple, but almost nobody speaks English in this place. So translation is fine, but it's not very easy to translate everything. I mean, you can translate words, but concepts usually need to be a little bit, takes time for them to kind of land into the people, mind and hearts. And technology fails. We learned that, we know that, it's obvious. Technology fails and needs to be maintained. And so this is another challenge. I mean, we can deploy technology, we close the door, everything works. 2 seconds later, nothing works. So we need to go back in and figuring out why and trying to fix it. And regulation changes, regulation, it's something that it's hard to understand and changes very quickly. So this makes it pretty much a nightmare for anybody who's looking into trying to understand this and translating regulation into, why not, a business model, as we are trying to do. And so in the end, they lived happily ever after. We deployed, again, technology application tools. We tried to engage the community as much as we could, and we reached some promising results. So the reduction of peak loads, so we managed to kind of shift the demand of energy in a way that it's a little bit flat. Self-consumption through the installment of renewable production solar panels, and the active participation through user engagement and acceptance. As I said, many workshops, many discussions, many face-to-face meetings. The demand response, as we integrated a demand response signal, so people have a very easy way to understand whether it's a good time or a bad time to use energy in terms of the price that they're going to pay. And obviously all this together into the concept of demand flexibility, which is it's the holy grail pretty much of demand response. And so this is the tale of Benetutti and its legacy. And the legacy of Benetutti will be very much close to the fact that in terms of regulation, Italy has recently approved the incentive schemes for energy communities. So we do have the rules of the game, which have been set. We do have the tools, we have the community engaged. So now it's a matter of time and will to actually activate the full energy community in Benetutti and kind of have all this experience kind of lay his fruits. And this is it. Thank you again. I think you've seen this slide quite a few times, so no more on my side. Thank you very much.
Build a sustainable energy future and help achieve carbon emission reduction goals by 2030. TwinERGY project, an initiative funded by the European Commission under the Horizon Europe programme, travels to Benetutti, a small village in the center of Sardinia that has become the first smart energy region in Italy. The European project TwinERGY is advancing the way communities interact with renewable energy and promote citizen participation in its production.
There's three things that we can, as the TwinERGY project, bring to the Benetutti citizens. One is information and knowledge about energy flexibility and energy independence. Two is supporting them in building a vision based on that information. And last but not least, we can provide them the tools and the technologies to pursue that energy independence vision.
The digital twin is a virtual copy of your energy system and is monitoring and optimizing all the energy transactions using smart contracts on the blockchain. This technology not only improves efficiency and transparency, it also empowers the local community to take control of their energy consumption and reduce energy demand.
E quindi dobbiamo puntare sul consumatore, che il consumatore secondo me deve diventare produttore e consumatore allo stesso tempo della sua energia, non di un'energia prodotta da altri. In tutto questo, senza TwinERGY, non potremo avere l'impatto che secondo me si verrà a creare tra qualche
Add to that the climate emergency.
How can we build a sustainable energy future and help achieve carbon emission reduction goals by 2030? TwinERGY project, an initiative funded by the European Commission under the Horizon Europe programme, travels to Benetutti, a small village in the center of Sardinia that has become the first smart energy region in Italy. The European project TwinERGY is advancing the way communities interact with renewable energy and promote citizen participation in its production.
There's three things that we can, as the TwinERGY project, bring to the Benetutti citizens. One is information and knowledge about energy flexibility and energy independence. Two is supporting them in building a vision based on that information. And last but not least, we can provide them the tools and the technologies to pursue that energy independence vision.
The digital twin is a virtual copy of your energy system and is monitoring and optimizing all the energy transactions using smart contracts on the blockchain. This technology not only improves efficiency and transparency, it also empowers the local community to take control of their energy consumption and reduce energy demand.
E quindi dobbiamo puntare sul consumatore, che il consumatore secondo me deve diventare produttore e consumatore allo stesso tempo della sua energia, non di un'energia prodotta da altri. In tutto questo, senza TwinERGY, non potremo avere l'impatto che secondo me si verrà a creare tra qualche anno.
The transition to renewable energy is crucial in addressing climate change, and the digital mechanisms to help individuals and communities in improving their everyday consumption are ready. But are we willing to do our part as citizens? Are we ready to support innovative projects like TwinERGY and achieve real carbon emission reductions from today on?
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Mattia. That's brilliant. Next up, we've got Johannes Upping, and he's from THL. And he's in Steinheim in Germany.
Okay, a little bit higher. So yeah, also from my side,
Check.
I have to do it by my own.
Is that okay?
Oh, that's okay.
I can help if
Then
you
I do
like.
that now, that's fine.
You sure?
Yes, yes. Okay, yeah, also from my side, welcome to this workshop, and I've never believed that there's a sensible sentence where Barcelona and Hagedorn is on the same sentence, but as we learned today, Hagedorn and Barcelona are in the same boat, so we have to do things in common and change the world. And most of you don't know Hagedorn, therefore I show you. So our pilot Hagedorn is in the center of Germany. Oh, this is a little bit annoying. Take this one. Sorry for the sound. So as you can see here, there's a map of Germany, and we are nearly in the center of Germany. And here you see an aerial view of whole Hagedorn. So this is mainly 50 buildings, 100 people. And what is the specialty of our pilot in comparison to all of the other ones? So we are so small that we have only 2 subgrids in the whole pilot area. And we measure all of these subgrids. So in addition, we have several PV systems which were installed before we had the pilot, and during the project there are, I think, 3 new ones which are also not added at this chart because this was before the pilot. And we have in yellow, that's a thing I've shown you in the end, a community car, and this is also a specialty. So, and in the end, or one back, we measure both of the subgrids, so we measure any consumption and any production in the whole pilot, even if the people want it or don't want it. So it sounds a little bit hard, but we have a very clever participation model in this way. This is the installed technology. We have from the left side to the right, we have this community car, we have a community storage, and the difference is the storage is located directly into the grid and not in any private household. And then we have this kinds, I think you all know, smart plugs, which we have given to all of the participants, and also smart meter technology in order to have a very detailed view of how energy is produced and, of course, used in the pilot. Here you have, in addition, some pictures of how we introduced the car, and there was a lot of curiosity from all over the people, since our car have another specialty. So normal electric cars, you all know, they can be charged from the grid, and you can suspend charge, and you can do your charge in order to increase PV power in the storage. But this car can also be recharged back to the grid. So this vehicle-to-grid technology is not so often or not so common, and it's really hard to get a pair of the European CCS plug and a bidirectional chargeable car, and that you see here, and in addition some other pictures from the pilot, so that you can get an idea of how it looks like. Of course, it's all on sunny days. Our pilot has only sunny days. So our engagement model was mainly that we are in direct contact to the people, and this is because we have only 100 people in our total village, and only a part of them are participants in different ways. So we have 4 level systems of participation. As you see in the pyramids, the lowest level is level 0, and there you have to do nothing. And then we have level 1, 2, 3, up to the green one. And when you are a level 3 participant, you get a smart meter, you get data, you get apps, you get accessible to the car, and you have a lot of stuff you can use from the project. And with this kind of level structure, we also can address people who are a little bit afraid of numbers or energy or new technologies. And so we have a bunch of people who are interested in, and of course I know all of them because I am also an inhabitant of this small pilot. And in the end I will show you one result or 2 results, which is directly from the car. And what you can see here, we have a system where you can book online the car always for 1 day in our case. And here you see all of the months we applied the car to the pilot, and this is days booked per month. And you see one of the lowest days we have 8 bookings, and on the high occupant month, we had 22 bookings from 30. So the car was used a lot in the pilot, and I think that's a good success because we reduced the fear for electromobility in the pilot, and that is one legacy. 3 or 4 of our participants are thinking about changing their old gas car to a new electrical one. And here also some other results from the car. We have a booking ratio of 56%, so this is mainly the integral of the curve you see before. We have in nearly 300 bookings. I'm quite sure we will get the 300, yes. 1 ticket for speeding. So that's a disadvantage because I see who from my people in the village drive like I don't say it, and 1 ticket for illegal parking, and I'm quite sure it's both the same. Oh no, okay, then I'm out. We've driven around 17,000 kilometers during these 1.5 years, our frequently user has 100 bookings, I think last week or something like that, and in total, and that's I think that's nice. Normally, when you talk about cars, you will have mail because we need more power, right? But in our case, you see at least 3/4 of the bookings are done by women, and that's I think very cool. So that so you can see how clever women are. Okay, and I think that's the results from our car, which is a great success, and that's it from our pilot. And of course, I will thank you also, but I've skipped the icons.
Thank you.
Well, Johannes, I would like to ask you what makes this pilot unique and different from the rest of the TwinERGY pilots?
Yeah, in our pilot, we have the focus more or less not only to the household, but also on the grid. And the specialty of our pilot is that we look and we measure the whole subgrid. So everyone which is located into the subgrid is somehow a participant in our project. So you can't escape if you want that.
In a world desperately seeking for sustainable solutions, a pilot project in a small German town could become a beacon of innovation. How can local communities take a prominent role in the energy transition?
Hello!
Not everybody has the same information about how you can behave against the climate change. And it's easier when you have kind of a bigger group. It's maybe easier to do it in a group than do it everybody for himself. Yeah, you have this power of the group. The biggest change through the TwinERGY was the village car, the shared car, and that was really new for us here in the village. And the other point is that you have kind of smarter or more intelligent informations at which time you can use or you can better use, for example, solar power or wind power.
This is the special part of our pilot. It is the community shared car, and it is a special car because with this charging station we are able to charge and discharge the car, so we can hire our renewable energy sources here directly in this community.
Also ich finde, das Beste daran ist, wenn ich hier in das Dorf reinfahre und sehe, ich fahre mit dem Auto mit Sonnenstrom und kann den Benziner stehen lassen. Das ist für mich das Schönste. Also ich fahre jetzt seit einem Jahr dieses Auto und ich finde das richtig toll und bin froh, dass ich das oft mieten kann. Also ich habe gelernt, dass man die Sonnenenergie nutzen soll und dass man dadurch viel einspart und dass es dadurch auch besser wird und dass man eben mit Sonne und Wind.
Which kind of technologies do we have here in the Hagendorf pilot?
So mainly we got equipped all the participants with smart meters, so they are able to see their demand. And now the smart meters are transferring the data to the digital twin platform.
So Johannes, how do you envision the future of Hagendorf in terms of energy management?
So energy management is very important towards to complete renewable energy transition. And I think that energy management will have different levels. So there's a level inside the house where every household manage the energy which is bought and the energy which is produced by their own PV system, and all of the bigger energy consumptions will be managed by a single system. And outwards from the grid side, there's also energy management which will give different prices and very, very flexible tariffs to the households in order to make something like an orchestra of the different houses in one subgrid. So this is an aerial view of our pilot Hagedorn. And now I'll show you something about our electrical wiring. We have a very medium voltage line which comes and goes in here, and this line is for the whole pilot, which is the whole picture. We have next to our transformer station, we have a storage which is used by the whole pilot. And for example, when all of our photovoltaic systems, which are marked now in blue, for example, this is the solar roof, when these PV systems are creating a lot of power during the sun, all of the energy flow goes in the direction of the transformer station, like this, with the purple lines. And now with TwinERGY technology, we charge our battery. And now the sun goes down and we have night times, then the energy flows, turns around, and the energy flows from the storage back to the houses, and in that way we can use the own created solar power also in night times. And this kind of orchestration of all the houses is scalable towards to whole cities and to whole areas. And then we have a chance to use extremely much energy when we have renewable energies and try to avoid using energy when we have only fossil fuel energies. And this is very important, and without energy management this is not possible to achieve.
I think it was a big step in case of learning for the people.
So our participants, at first they gain knowledge, which is very important in these times. Also we have the energy crisis at the moment. And the second one is they got technology. Of course they can use all of the TwinERGY apps all the time they want, and they can use a community car, which is very famous in our pilot. And one of the stuff which is located to every household is something like a smart plug or a smart meter, so that every participant has the possibility to see in every minute or in every second what is the energy which I use now, or what is the energy which I feed into the grid when I have an own PV system.
So the cake is ready. We used the energy from the wind turbines for this one.
But I think the main learning is in the hands of the participants. They learn about energy, they learn about how technology can support the energy change from more like fossil fueled energies to renewable energies. And these learnings have a lot of to do with some kind of fears you have before.
The energy transition will not only be a matter of corporations and governments, it's also about communities. It's about every single one of us taking and claiming action. TwinERGY in Hagedorn is a small-scale example of how we can all contribute to a more sustainable energy future.
That's brilliant. Great film. First time I saw that. Am I sounded? Should I speak here? So next up, we'd like to introduce our Greece pilot, and it's Alexandra Tsarouchi, correct, more or less, from Protergia, from Athens, from the Athens pilot. So if you can come, thank you. Just check so. Okay, you okay?
So, good afternoon. Now I'm going to share with you some insight and some feedback gathered from our users, and some challenges faced in the Greek pilot. Okay. Thank you. So let's begin with the wearable. We are testing two at the moment. So what users told us is that the lack of wearable interface and the lack of a mobile application, made it more difficult to engage with it. Also, some connectivity issues resulted to loss of interest from their side. Also, we have installed EV chargers to 4 houses, and users found the module interface quite easy and user-friendly. They really liked the annotation of extending the parking time, so they could know when they should disengage from their parking slot. So this is something that relevant Greek applications don't provide. So one of the challenges is that we did not have enough time due to connectivity issues with the platform to test it, but we have managed during the last month to do some charging sessions. Next, we have also installed smart sensors and equipment to 4 residential houses in Athens. At the Stamtec web application, the users can see the consumption, but compared to other commercial web applications, the thing is that we could not have further insight, like a better interface, better analytics in the dashboard, maybe differences between winter and summer period, and in general, some interaction with the user. So we also had some issues with the app, and for some reason, we could not have data for some amount of the users. Finally, we have installed 19 public EV chargers. The users found really useful to see how much it costs to reach the charging point. And they also found really useful the reservation aspect, that they could reserve a charging point until they reach it. So we also had some technical issues with the platform. And also, we had some inability to get live data from the charging stations to our in-house platform. So that's all from my side. Thank you.
Greece has a national plan for energy and climate that identifies the need to establish energy efficiency measures.
So right now, prices in electricity are very high. There was an increase of 5 times more in the kilowatt price. People cannot afford paying the electricity bill, and that has created a great deficit in the energy sector.
We are in Athens, where high energy costs and air pollution are major challenges. The need to identify sustainable consumption models is essential to improve the life of Athenians.
The Greek government has given many incentives for people to buy electric vehicles and to install EV chargers at home. So all the people who buy a new car, they actually charge it at home overnight. That changes a lot the demand on the grid. We currently don't understand how much this affects the grid. So giving this data, implementing in the digital twin model that we build in TwinERGY will help us understand and build a more human-centric demand response.
The TwinERGY local pilot aims to involve a group of local consumers into a human demand response program. But what does this mean? Okay, Christos, so can you tell us a bit more about what is a demand response program, please?
Demand response is a program where a center location, a user in a center location can interact and change demand patterns according to what is happening in the markets.
When it comes to even more advanced technologies, in Greece, electricity sold in houses is considered as a commodity. So we're not allowed to play with flexibility schemes like dynamic tariffing during the day. In parallel, there are only very, very few houses who have installed PV panels. So the people capacity to produce, become producers is low for the capabilities of Greece. Because we talk now about a country, there is sun every day. The price is changing every month, so the consumer are asked to change or choose the retailer. So the goal now is to offer them knowledge about how much they consume, and the step forward to that is to make them understand which are the devices that are bringing the heavier consumption, so the heavier load in their house, and make them understand or learn how to operate them in a better way in order to lower the consumption and lower their energy bill.
I have two plugs. One is there, the charging plug, and one is there, the TV plug. I will show you how the TV is switched off. We press here this button.
Okay.
The TV is off. The power meter is 0 because the TV is off, and here is the total consumption. It represents the interval, 24 hours interval.
Okay. How do you think this is related with what you're trying to push forward with the pilot that TwinERGY is developing in Athens?
Yeah, so in TwinERGY we have chosen a mix of pilots, so a mix of pilot profiles with people that work from home, so they have to stay at home all day, people who have families, so they have several needs in terms of heating or in terms of like television, for instance, and people who are single occupants.
TwinERGY plays an important role in fostering the new generation of prosumers for the energy market of the future. Citizens are actually quite willing to play an active role in energy market, while at the same time tend to be attached to established behaviors and equipment.
Here we have a multi-sensor among all the devices that we have placed in the house. The multi-sensor allows us to check the humidity and the temperature in an area. So for example, here we've chosen the room where I spend most of my time, like it's cinema and the gym on the back. So I make sure that by controlling and seeing the temperature here, that I have the perfect conditions in my house. First step is to make them aware of their current. So see why their energy bills, their electricity bills are so high.
have the highest electricity price.
Ήταν πάρα πολύ σημαντική αυτή η απεργία.
The huge electricity price plays the most important role and has two main negative consequences.
So here in TwinERGY platform, you can see how we integrate this data. So we start and we first name the user. I mean, this is like data from one house and user 5. From each device, I go and I map all the data one by one and for each house into our digital twin. Right now, we're in the part of installing equipment to their house and integrate their data into TwinERGY platform. The first stage is to create their profile, understand when these people are at home, when they consume more, and based on that, we can build the digital twin model of their house, show them how they can optimize their consumption. So the goal is to offer the service, so offer them the energy reduction through the demand response.
As you see, the TwinERGY pilot is currently collecting data from 20 Athenian houses, home for around 50 people. It is with them that the possibilities of human demand response schemes in terms of savings, flexibility and efficiency of consumption are being tested. But now, let's think it a bit bigger. If we take into account that only one retailer of the many energy market operators has a customer portfolio of more than 500,000 homes through Greece, can you imagine the collective ability to improve efficiency that exists?
Thank you, Alexandra. Great. And last but not least, we've got Matt from the Bristol pilot, and he's from Bristol City Council. And it's Matt Jones.
That is my name. Hope feeling energised still, last but not least. Sorry, bad joke. So, this is the Bristol pilot. We engaged a number of participants to understand how we could take them on a journey to become prosumers. So we recognise that there's some significant barriers to engagement in the new energy system, so particularly in the UK around smart tariffs. So what equipment did you need? What knowledge did you need? What finances you need? Lots of barriers to entry in terms of partaking in the smart energy system. So we engaged with a diverse cohort of people, all at different stages in their understanding. And they all wanted to do something but weren't sure how. So we recognise that it's important to bring everybody along with the energy transition because we're missing a huge segment of the population if it's just what I label sort of Tesla man, you know, they've got the electric car, they've got the electric battery and, you know, they're running their home for zero cost every year. You know, that's not representative of everyone. So the technology we deployed was a mix of existing systems like solar PV where we added battery in. Each home had smart plugs and we also put some secondary monitoring devices so we can understand the energy use in each of the homes and capture the benefits. A key to the project's success in bringing people along this journey was the regular and in-depth engagement. So Sam from the University of Bristol visited homes multiple times to take them on this journey. We've talking about this in terms of 3 steps along the journey, which I've got a diagram to show you about that. But the key was we moved through the level of complexity of technology at the speed of trust. So we didn't go on to that next step until they were confident with understanding, you know, those different levels first of all. So these are the 3 steps that we kind of identified for a cohort, and it might be that depending on your knowledge level you might start further along in these steps, or you might have some more of the technology, so you start further along. But Step one was basically installing the smart plugs and helping people understand their energy consumption and the consumption of different devices and the difference between, you know, a kilowatt and a kilowatt hour. So basic concepts. Then step two was about installing a battery and understanding how they could better maximize the use of their solar generation, you know, using appliances at different times of day. And then this led to them being able to maximize their self-consumption. And then the third step, which was quite challenging, but it was a great outcome, was that we managed to support some households to change to a smart time of use tariff, which has a lot of barriers in itself to adopt. So we thought that was a significant achievement for people who didn't really understand anything about smart energy by the end of the project, to have given them the confidence to sign up for a smart tariff and start to see the benefits of those. So step one was about smart plug, around basic concepts around demand side management. So we deployed the EquiWatt smart plugs. So they were able to participate in this service and get points that they could use towards vouchers and things like that. The second step was around solar battery charging. So we showed them how the battery was charged and the profiles of the day, so they had a better understanding of how they could use their solar most effectively. And then this third step, which we used a tariff called Octopus Flux. The key within this is that we were presenting information for the households to make a choice. We didn't predefine that they had to go on Octopus Flux. That was their choice. It's their contract with that energy provider. But this is a tariff that came out during the project lifetime, so we were able to set up and support homes to exploit these two cheaper times in the day, which was able to save people a significant amount of money. So in one home that was a small home with a large PV array and a large battery, at one point they were making £6 a day profit through participating in this particular tariff, where they were exporting at certain times for quite a large return. So we think that home could be net zero bills over the course of a year because of certain factors, but clearly not possible everywhere. But that's incredible, where you can exploit those assets to achieve that outcome. So this is the kind of the profiles that you can see, where you've got the two charging periods and the discharges at peak times, where they've charged their battery up either on their own solar or pre-charging, and then it discharges to the grid at peak times, and they get payment for that. There's some really significant learnings that have come out of this project. And first of all, that we know, and we've shown and demonstrated, that participating and sweating those energy assets can be really financially beneficial for communities. We think that current policies around technologies are going to cause issues for a just transition, because smart tariffs, often you need an electric vehicle or a battery that come at a high entry cost. So how do we make sure everybody can benefit for those particularly fuel poor households? Batteries, what went wrong? Everybody's interested in what went wrong, right? Batteries fail. They did fail. We had quite a high failure rate, and that's a real high risk when you're relying on accessing the cheaper time of use tariffs. So if your battery's not working, you're not able to charge it and discharge it appropriately. What we did do, we had battery optimization enabled on those batteries, where they would charge in line with expected generation the next day, so it's smart charged, and also passive systems who helped us to do that optimization were able to alert us if there was any downtime on that battery, so we could rectify that as soon as possible. So yeah, that's a key learning. And we think that support services for onboarding people onto smart tariffs should be commercialized, because there needs to be somebody looking at that battery all the time to make sure it's working if you're going to be on a smart tariff, because if there's not and it goes offline, you haven't looked at it for a few weeks, then you're exposed to those higher tariffs, and that's a real risk, particularly for those fuel poor households. Thank you.
add to that the climate emergency and the challenges we face. And I would also just throw up something I wrote yesterday, which is one of the perversities of climate change, in that it's the poorest and the most marginalised who get hit first and hardest, but they're also most vulnerable to being negatively impacted by the economic restructuring we have to go through to decarbonise the economy.
With more than 700,000 inhabitants in its metro area, Bristol has a particularly high proportion of neighbourhoods that are at risk with the energy crisis. These at-risk neighbourhoods are home for a higher proportion of kids, but they also ingrain complexities such as a high, diverse rate of ethnicities and cultural realities.
And I suppose thinking back to how we started, you know, we have always worked in the community where people are. We've co-designed and co-built this centre. It's made of straw because we wanted to listen to people's aspirations around environment. I think when we think about this project and we think about what have we learned and what's the impact going to be and what will we do differently, I think it's just a continuation of all of that practice and that kind of way that we've grown. What's your thoughts about that?
So the Bristol pilot, there was a deep focus on equality, diversity and inclusion principles that we brought into, you know, when we engaged the participants in this project. And also because it was a small pilot, it really taught us that investment in people and getting them on board with the tech, how important that is, and we were able to achieve that.
Before I joined TwinERGY, I was aware of my energy usage. Obviously, I think everybody is, so I was keeping an eye on it, and I had smart meters and stuff, but that's pretty much all you could do if you don't have anything else like the solar panels or anything. The sun comes up here, which is the east, goes down there, so I pretty much have it on the panels all day long, even in the winter. And then in the shed, I've got 11.6 kilowatt battery, which is massive.
The massive battery, yeah?
Yeah, 11.6 kilowatts, which for one person is actually pretty much enough electricity for what I need during the day. TwinERGY were in collaboration with Knoll West Media Centre, and I believe the original grant was through Bristol City Council, and there was two guys, Sam and Matt, who were really involved. I mean, they were the ones, I got an iPad with the system as well, so I could monitor on this app, but they also showed me how to use that. Any questions I had, I could go to them.
We've really focused on trying to upskill the participants and bring them along on a journey, starting with very low-level foundational understanding of energy that's often missing in a lot of people, like general members of the public, and trying to build up their understanding as we've gone through the project so that they're feeling much more comfortable and empowered in the way that they understand and interact with electricity.
So how is it working right now for you?
Yeah, it's working amazingly. I mean, I'm with a certain energy company where I get feedback from the battery at a certain time of day when it's at the highest rate. And at the moment, I'm currently in quite a lot of credit. So it means going forward into the winter months that I actually last year did not pay anything personally towards my bills. The solar panels actually paid for not only my electric, but my gas usage as well.
Which was the situation regarding energy before you joined TwinERGY?
We didn't really understand about the energy. We got a bill through, we paid the bill, and just used the energy as and when we wanted to.
But there was no control over
there was no control over
bills and the way you were spending?
No, direct debit, pay it. Just go to the top of the steps and just look. You can see everything that's up there.
Good.
That's the inverter in front of you. And that's the batteries to your left.
See right now, no? One battery, it's half of its capacity, can it be?
I think it's 5 kilowatts per battery.
So throughout the project, it was really significant to see the progression of our participants and where they started, you know, with basic energy concepts, and where they, in the end, were able to negotiate tariffs with energy companies and bills, essentially. So it was really inspiring, and you know, just to see them grow through this whole process, and you know, for them to also be able to challenge us.
I mean, it's got like your home solar, battery and grid, and if you go down here to the real-time power graph, you can actually see from these arrows at the moment the solar is going into the battery, also feeding the house, but it's also going into the grid because the battery's at 100%.
It's not impossible that some of those homes could have net zero bills over the course of a year in future if they can maximise the savings from both the solar generation and exploiting the smart tariffs, and TwinERGY's helped them to get an insight about how they might do that in the future.
I was with them before, they had a different tariff, which was still really good, I managed really well, but this summer I swapped to the Octopus Flux, so it downloads from my battery into the grid, which is between 4 and 7 o'clock. Which is the peak amount of time that you get the most money for the electric you're giving back to the company.
With the energy that we've earned, we don't pay anything, they pay us. OVO didn't pay us any money for our export, because they said they couldn't set it up or anything. But when we went to Octopus, right from the very beginning, just for 4 days, they gave us £8 something into our account, and then they paid £140 into our account. It's all silly stuff like that.
Yeah, I think being greener is something that I was always very interested in and keen on being, but it's also not very accessible for a lot of people because you have to have a lot of money to be able to afford to make greener choices. When I had full use of the battery and the solar, my electric bills, my tariff, they changed dramatically. So suddenly I was using far less energy from the grid, therefore my electricity usage and bills came right down. When the battery failed working earlier this year, then my habits had to change because I was just benefiting when the sun was shining, so therefore I'd changed my habits to try and use more power when the sun was out and when I was making power.
And how important do you think is sharing? Sharing, from what we've learned, people really, really valued the sharing of their own experience, the sharing with others, the hearing, other people's points of view. We found that was a really, really important thing for people in this project.
For me, one of the big learnings is that there's still lots of barriers to participating in energy trading networks and things like that. Just taking on time of use tariffs, they favour those people who are more flexible with their lives, and invariably that's people who don't have young children and people who don't necessarily work, and I think that's one of the big learnings from the experience.
Do you remember how we started? We wanted to place citizens at the heart of the energy market. We wanted to help them making informed decisions that have a positive impact on climate change and on energy poverty. And I feel like this time we are almost there.
That's great. Thanks, Matt. We've got a bit of time. If there are any questions, about 5 minutes. If there are any questions in the audience for our pilot leads. Should I leave them there? Cool. Great. Yeah. Shoot away. Now's your chance. Yes. Thanks. Hang on. Let's get you the...
A general question for all of them, but I remember the last one. You have done your pilot with an energy platform, Octopus. Did you agree with them on tariffs, on changing them or whatever? Or was it a standalone pilot where the participants merely got what you agreed with them on tariffs?
Yes, so we didn't have any relationship with Octopus. That's a tariff that actually emerged during the project. And the thing with energy tariffs, you've got to be really careful on short-term projects or any short-term research projects that we don't sort of encourage people onto a tariff that's then, if we disappear, that's not then a commercial tariff, and it creates more kind of inertia there and a negative experience. So we wanted to support them to access existing kind of tariffs. In the UK, there's quite a lot of emerging electric vehicle tariffs, heat pump tariffs now, battery tariffs that are coming forward. So, but we recognise that for a lot of people, it's a real barrier to understand which, for a start, which tariff. How would I know? I've got different energy assets, maybe different prioritizations. It's really confusing. I find it confusing. I've got some of these things, and I don't know sometimes which tariffs I should be on. So how would somebody who doesn't even have a smart meter even begin to get the benefit? So in short, what we're doing now is just making sure that those participants have kind of got an ongoing support mechanism through just being on a tariff that they can switch off anytime. One of the things we're looking at is, we mentioned we were doing battery optimization, where a third-party company was coming in and sort of controlling that battery, which is, again, that was a huge thing to say somebody's going to control an energy asset in your home. So we built the confidence of the participants to be able to accept that control. That wasn't a commercial service, that was kind of a research thing, but now actually we've identified, again, this space is very rapidly developing. We found a company who's now offering that as a commercial service, where they manage your battery to participate in demand response markets in the UK. The participant gets 70% of that revenue, and the management company gets 30%. So it's a commercial, fully supported, doesn't require us to be part of it. The operator's got a vested interest in making sure that battery is working because they want that revenue stream. And again, I'm not selling this, we've got no tie to them, but they say that that could generate the average household of £400 a year in revenue, which this is quite game-changing in terms of the solar battery business model, because when you throw in that kind of sweating of that asset, if that makes sense, so how you make most of that asset, that's a significant amount than just using it in a, your solar charges your battery, you discharge your battery. That's a whole new layer of revenue generation that can make it a lot more viable to these assets going into homes.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Yeah. Are there any other questions currently? I think it's just some learning from each other. It's so nice to see it all in one place, because it's like patchy, and you learn and you observe. But wow, I think what an amazing, outcome and result here. It's so unique for each one. Are there any crossovers that you kind of notice from pilots to each other, where it's like, oh, hang on, that might be something? And I mean, it's all depending on the regulations and everything that's so uniquely different in all the different countries as well. So, yeah, any reflections there? Thanks, Mattia.
The easy one, which it's building on what we just said, is that pretty much the situation in the UK, it's something that we're looking at happening in Italy. So even it's pretty much having a sneak peek at the future of what will potentially happen with this new regulation also happening in Italy, where there is an incentive schemes for exchanging local energy, which has a premium on top of it, which is around 110 euros per megawatt, which in the end, it's altogether, it should make quite a big of an impact. So this together with this kind of business model where you charge and discharge your battery accordingly in order to actually sweat off all your energy assets, something that we've learned in this project, and we've seen it happen in Bristol, although with a third-party provider, but that's not, I mean, it's the same thing, and something that in Benetutti we will look forward into making this happen in the near future, even after the TwinERGY project.
Great.
Yeah, so I think when I see us in the breaks discussing about different stuff, I think we've learned a lot about, or from our pilots each other. For for a real outcome from my side, I think it's very interesting that technology is mostly not the problem. So we've seen that there is technology available in Bristol. We've seen that when it's possible to develop the technology by our own. I think every one of us has great ideas on what we can do in the future to solve problems. And we've seen that a lot of the problems occurring in the project is something like bureaucracy and regulations and fake news from, perhaps it's not the right word, of knowledge we have to build up at the participants and also on the politicians or on other people. And so therefore I think the outcome is, even if we have the technology, that's only half the way we have to do, because we have to put it to the people and give it to the communities in order to make the change. And I think in principle it's very funny that everyone has faced different problems in regulations. Also we have all the same kind of technology.
I think that's great. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions in the audience? I think that's great. Thank you very much.
Wait, there's
hang
one.
on, one more. One more. That's brilliant. Hang on. Let's.
I think our final publication is so nice that the EU Commission will read it, hopefully, and draw the right conclusions from that. Okay, so honestly, I would say there's a lot of projects who are coordinated with EU projects, and I think all the officers who read it will support to higher levels, and I think the need is so high that there will be rapid change within the next 5 years on all areas, from the technology side, from the regulations, and also from communities or people who will notice that it is a must. Energy management or demand response will be a must. At the moment, it's nice to have, and it's something like which is a little bit nerdy, but when you think 10 years in the future, you will see that we have so much renewable energy that it will be much cheaper to do energy management than don't do it, and then everyone will follow us.
In terms of the relationship with the EU, I mean, there are other, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, sister projects or connected projects with as TwinERGY, which are kind of put together by the Bridge Initiative, which kind of pulls the strings and gives a unified vision to the EU as a program of projects all running in the same direction, which is pretty much what Johannes was saying. So enabling this kind of models through social, technological, and regulatory advancements in a way.
That's great. Thank you. And I think just highlighting again what Matt was saying is, with all that, is the just transition, and how do we really ensure that people don't stay behind through all of these changes that's happening. And I think that's where a lot of the real hard work is sitting as well. Well, thank you very much to all our pilots, and thanks for your time and enthusiasm on this, and well done. Congratulations. We're going to take a break now, about 5-10 minutes. Yeah, go and get some refreshments. Cheers. And then after that, we've got another. Yeah, cheers.
comprovat i sí, no, però dic, quan aquests els vídeos i qual, només això li he activat, ell ja m'ha dit que ja es pot sense que li digui res, i ja està. I la tornada és la mateixa, sí que no hi ha problema. El que he fet és tancar-la, perquè quan m'he adaptat el vídeo d'una altra manera, dic, li trec recursos a l'ordinador, li trec el Chrome i el direct. I ja està. O sigui, pensar que m'aguantaria tot, no m'ha aguantat. Sí. Vull dir que és un hi ha una massa que t'ha de fer de l'ordinador. Ja escriurem, després ara de començar el vídeo. Ok, pot activar tot el micròfon. Sí. No t'he posat ni llum. Ideal, tengo online y todo. Què passa? Que l'anglès a vegades primer el poso en present,
Bueno.
i ara hasta que intentar vocabulari que vaig dient en present, saps? I quan vull parlar des de blas, i parlar en present. A vegades aprofito de dir abans d'ahir, abans d'ahir, per passar tema i per tomorrow to the tomorrow.
Tomorrow to the tomorrow. The day after tomorrow.
Ja,
Pero bueno, ya te pensas.
sí, després quan parlo una frase, clar, igual ens diuen, acabem de començar la seva aquí. A veure, espera.
¿Qué? ¿También son endiosadis o qué?
No, jo no treballo amb ells, ja.
Però has treballat amb ells?
Has treballat amb ells, tu?
No.
Ah. Si tu algun dia li dius, oye, recuerdo que haces Salazar.
Vale. ¿O tú Francesc Salazar o Francesc Cardero?
És en un estrany com a Salazar o...
Vale, vale.
Okay, can I kindly ask you to start coming back and sitting? Because we must restart, please. You can take your coffee. You can drink coffee while you're seated, but we need to start again, please.
Α, αυτό, εσύ θα κάνεις την παρουσίαση. Θύμιζα μου. Ναι, εντάξει. Δεν νομίζω ότι δουλεύει, τρέκω. Θα πας να... Can we start? Time passes very fast. Okay. I would like to welcome you all to the second part of this workshop. We do have some presentations that refer to TwinERGY project. Just a small introduction. When you are willing or planning to develop a project, you need to ask yourself several questions. Among them, perhaps the most important are, what are the needs for the project, what needs you are going to meet, what are some innovative tools and technological solutions that you may use to solve the problem, and then how are you going to develop the project. Regarding these three questions, we have a number of presentations in this part of the workshop. We try to respond to these questions through the TwinERGY project and the development that we had. And I'll ask Grigoris Protopsaltis and Julia Barbano, she's going to be online, to come forward, and we start right away because we don't have much time. So the first presentation is by Grigoris. He's going to take my place now, and then we'll ask Julia to connect online in order to have the second presentation. The first part of the presentations are about the technological solutions, and especially for the digital twin one, which is, I guess, a technology that is going to have a serious effect in what we are doing scientifically and in terms of research in the following years. Grigori.
So yeah. Okay, so I will talk about how the TwinERGY system, through the concept of the consumer digital twin, is positioned to meet the demands of today's energy market. Starting from personalization of energy management. Can you hear me properly? Okay, thank you. So, digital twins are traditionally used for replicating physical systems or processes in a virtual environment. Specifically, the consumer digital twin tries to go beyond those conventional boundaries, incorporating human-centric data into the energy management framework. This shift is enabled through the integration of wearable devices. These devices are crucial as they monitor physiological parameters and environmental conditions in close proximity of the user's body. This real-time personal data collection allows the digital twin to not only mirror the consumer's energy usage, but also understand the factors influencing comfort and well-being. It enhances, as such, energy management and efficiency, providing recommendations that align with the individual's needs and preferences. For example, adjustments to heating, cooling, and ventilation systems can be made in real time to maintain or achieve optimal comfort for the occupant of the house. This dynamic process enhances the efficiency of energy use, ensuring that energy is not wasted at any point. By integrating thermal comfort with energy system optimization, the TwinERGY system, or the consumer digital twin, offers a user-centric approach to energy management. Moving on to optimization of household energy management, the digital twin caters to that by enabling demand response. It can reduce costs and consumption through intelligent scheduling, aligning appliance use with both grid capacity and comfort needs, as we talked before. More specifically, the CDT, meaning Consumer Digital Twin, optimization process uses algorithms to analyze the collected data. Data can be energy demand, production, and of course energy tariffs to determine the most efficient scheduling for energy-intensive household appliances. This not only aids in preventing grid overloads, but also promotes more efficient use of renewable energy sources when they are most available. Moving on to scalability and flexibility, the CDT design also features virtual sensors in order to minimize the reliance on physical equipment. Virtual sensors use machine learning to predict what a physical sensor would measure based on past readings. As such, we eliminate the need for extensive additional equipment, thus the scalability of the endeavor. Data-driven decision-making, the CDT leverages machine learning for predictive analytics. It simplifies decision-making processes, guiding user towards smarter energy choices. Okay, so in order to summarize a little bit, the main advantages that the consumer digital twin enables for the consumer in order for him to have an active role in the energy markets are the prioritization of household appliance scheduling for cost efficiency and maximum comfort, the enabling of users to optimize demand-side management by inputting appliance characteristics. As we can see in the next slide, the user can choose to provide, anyway, it is not shown very clearly, so I will skip that part. And the leveraging of machine learning algorithms and hourly electricity prices to automate the load operation. Okay, that was it. Thank you all for listening and your attention.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me well in the room.
Hello, Julia.
Sorry I could not be there with you.
Hello, Julia. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
I guess we can...
I will be very quick here.
We can start the presentation.
Thank you. Yes, I will give you a very quick overview from, again, the digital twin perspective at a slightly higher scale than what you have seen now. So, first of all, introduce myself. I'm Julia. I'm R&D Operations Manager in IS. IS, we are a software company who works on digital twins for buildings and communities, and this is what we brought to the TwinERGY project. I will very, very quickly touch on what we mean by digital twin. In general, I guess specifically, light touch on what the architecture is in TwinERGY, and then I will give you an idea of how it's been used and how a digital twin can be used to enable that flexibility optimization in the energy market. So first question, of course, what is a digital twin? There are very many definitions of this, but in general, it's a virtual representation of an object that accurately represents the physical object, and it integrates real-time data and simulation, machine learning to help make decisions, which is the most important part of the definition, right? When IES works on digital twins, what we do is we start from physics principles and building the digital twins. We merge it with the actual data that comes from the buildings, the community. So we integrate that real world data. This is to help have data-driven prediction of the performance. It allows us to test the different ways of operating the community or a renovation scenario, for example, filling gaps and so on. So the idea is that we end with giving the user much more rich data than what they actually have just from the sensors, so they can get deep operational insight on the building and the decision making. Specifically, in TwinERGY, the digital twin architecture was multiple layers. So we had a common data environment, then on top of it, different tiers of digital twins. So the consumer digital twin you saw now, so the preferences, the behavior of the occupant. The building level, so the building characteristics of that individual building, those are then scaled up and aggregated, combined, form a community digital twin. So that is the single view, the single model that represents the whole community. And then from here, it all goes into a network model that incorporates renewables, the buildings, and we use this to optimize the demand profiles based on several criteria. And I will get to that in a moment. Just to give you a quick example, you've seen all the pilots, just to see what's been done, let's say, in the back end. This is an example for a single building in the Athens pilot, and basically starting from existing technical files, like AutoCAD, CAD software, etc., recreating the geometry, and then establishing how the building is used, the systems, and the occupancy. Then the simulation can be used to create a full year, highly detailed data on demand and consumption for the building. And this is another example, I think, from Bristol, so in looking at how that demand and consumption, the use of the battery, can be leveraged to capture the storage, excess solar energy. So then these detailed models are then aggregated up. This is the Hagedorn community digital twin. This is a visualization that links all of them together, and then, but in the back end, they are modeled as a connected network that links together all of the resources, the buildings, the PV, the batteries, and so on. So then simply, when we're talking about how this can help flexibility, the energy market, we came at it from the flexibility utilization angle. This just a really high level, going back to that architecture. If you imagine now that model where everything is aggregated up, we have for each home some preferences of when the different assets can be used. Are they shiftable? Are they not? Let's say the loads that generate demand. These together go into an optimization algorithm that then looks at, based on the weather, the energy price forecast, etc., on when it will be best to utilize the local generation and as such run those local appliances. So these were, there were multiple requirements. Again, it's all in the, let's say, the back-end intelligence here. But it was important to be able to look at both the aggregated and specific demand of every appliance, get that electricity price data to make sure to make the most of the pricing peaks and troughs, and look at the good match with local renewable generation. So this was a full exercise and development of this flexibility analysis model. So the idea here is to make sure that the building can manage its demand and generation based on the climate, the user needs, and the grid requirements. Right? So here, let's say, so to make it more practical, this chart on the left, this is a typical residential demand. So you see in the morning, there's a first spike when the family wakes up, and some energy consumption, and then, much later in the day, we have again a peak in demand, right? So in the evening, but that doesn't match, of course, the generation, the renewable generation. So if we know when the loads are and what can be shifted, it can be made to match the local renewable generation schedule. So then finally, this was an example that ran on certificates, and this was aggregating multiple buildings together to look at how even the different levels of buy-in from the community members would have an impact on the energy demand when implementing flexibility. So this is, there are different scenarios considered here, but basically you see these demand response factor. So the zero, the one in blue, is when no one is engaging in flexibility, and one, so the one in green, is when everyone is engaging. So all the occupants are willing to shift their devices. So we optimize then to minimize the cost, maximize the consumption of the energy consumption, and then we see the orange is the generation. So we see how the peak is a lot, it has a much better fit when there is that buy-in. And this then translates in practice in some guidance for utilizing dynamic energy tariffs to the best time of energy use and knowing when the self-consumption should be maximized, right? So in short, a digital twin is a key enabler of that optimized implementation of these measures, right? Because it helps reduce the energy bills and reduce the peak demand across the day. So it also has value for network operators. And that is it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Please stay with us for possible questions later on. These are short presentations, so we're going to have all the questions at the end of this session. Grigori, thank you. I would like to ask the next two speakers, Patrick Tulli and Themis Apostologlou, to come up. And Patrick, you can start your presentation.
Thank you.
These two presentations are about the market needs and how the TwinERGY project meets these needs.
I think we've got the right slide now. Thanks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to talk about some work we've done as part of TwinERGY to look at what the exploitable outcomes of TwinERGY are, what the next steps are, and what can we do once the project is finished with this. So working with colleagues from WEC, put together a map of exploitable results of TwinERGY. So in here you can see all of the different things we've done and then how we think they could be taken forward. So you've got the TwinERGY modules, you've got the TwinERGY pilots, you've got the TwinERGY demonstrators through both the pilots and the modules from the platform, and then looked at how those could be transformed into a business case. In order to do that, we used a tool called the Business Model Canvas. So looked at kind of key partners, key outcomes, key deliverables, the value proposition across all of those, and then try to translate those across things like the 9 modules into what solutions could be delivered. So we did this for each of the 9 modules. Here you can see the TwinERGY platform and what the exploitable results are, what the position to market is. And as I say, we did this over and over and over again to look at where that could be taken forward. So that's all been published in one of the deliverables so far. So I think there's lots of opportunity for what we could do with TwinERGY, and we've demonstrated through some of the excellent talks from the pilot partners earlier today what the need is in the market, so how people need that support in order to capitalise on what's been done as part of TwinERGY. Another thing that was looked at was TwinERGY as a joint venture, so could we create a TwinERGY entity to move forward from this kind of research phase into a market-led phase. So looked at a combination of using expertise and then sharing that risk. Went through a whole series of processes looking at what the partners could be, what the scalability of each of those elements that were raised on that first diagram were. Looked at what the potential financial model for that would be. I can't say we've had anyone come forward to launch a joint venture with us yet, but I think the opportunities are there, and clearly some of the things that have been delivered as part of TwinERGY, there is a kind of market need for them, so we've definitely found that. And then the kind of final thing we looked at was what happened if you split some of the parts of TwinERGY separate from each other, and how could they be taken forward individually. So things like a consumer digital twin has been kind of demonstrated previously, transactive energy model, so some of the things that Matt was talking about specifically in the Bristol pilot, where using existing tariffs and some support to those to consumers, could you make the energy system work better for them? And one of the issues I think with this is there's a lot of different regulatory frameworks across the EU, so what might be possible in Bristol isn't necessarily possible in Athens, but what's possible in Athens might not be possible in Sardinia. So I think when there's no one clear outcome, I think we need to kind of do more work to understand and understand how we can influence, or how regulators could be influenced to make some of the changes needed to support some of the outcomes of TwinERGY. And then finally, I think this has been a kind of great effort between all of the partners in delivering this research. Is this the end of research in this area? Potentially not. Is there scope for kind of continued funding for research around this? I think there probably is, but I think that's something we as partners probably need to speak more about further. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. You can have a seat. Themi.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Themis Apostologlu, and we are here with my colleague Kostas Vasilakis. We are in the development team of the R&D department of European Dynamics, and we are very excited to share today with you our mobile app solution that addresses a very crucial aspect of our daily lives, which is, of course, energy efficiency. So as you can see, the application has been validated in 3 pilot cases in Germany, Italy, and UK, and it's also available for both iOS and Android, and you can download it if you want in these links. So to start with, introducing a social network module, we raise awareness of the energy awareness of the users by actively engaging them in both activities and individual and community challenges. We aim to create a collective impact on reducing energy footprints. Within our app, we have incorporated some intuitive dashboards and graphs, providing users with a clear visualization of their energy consumption and their savings also. So as you can see here, the users can participate in 2 types of competitions. On the one hand, there are self-competitions, focusing on reducing the personal energy consumption of the users. And on the other hand, there are community competitions, allowing users to challenge each other. The achievements in these competitions can be translated into earned badges and coins for the users. Now another a point worth mentioning here is that we conduct baseline calculations in a daily, weekly, and monthly basis in order to evaluate the user's energy behavior. Now, concerning the architecture of the social network module on TwinERGY ecosystem, we fetch raw measurements of the user from the core data management platform through API calls, and we also integrate with NATS broker for communication with other components, as you can see in this illustrated diagram. Now, these are some useful screens from our application. As you can see, there is the home screen, which it displayed the core element of our app, which is a tree. The tree's growth depends on the user's energy behavior. Specifically, if a user saves energy, the tree grows, and the user can gain some coins, as you can see in the third screen, which is the coins screen. Now we have the energy dashboard screen, which presents aggregated consumption data, and also it presents the baseline data, which is the average data. If the users want to see a more detailed view of their energy consumption, they can choose the More button here in the right point of the page, and can display some measurements for them, an overview of the measurements in a daily, weekly, and a monthly basis. Depending on the energy behavior of the users, different levels of badges are enabled for them, and this is a kind of reward. Moreover, there is a notifications screen, as you can see. The notification screen keeps users informed about their challenge results, and provide them also with personalized recommendations for them. Each pilot has its dedicated leaderboard, in which the users can track their ranking, and also they can compete each other if they want. Additionally, there is a messages screen, messages option, which have the users, in order to foster communications among users. Now, in conclusion, we think that the most challenging part of the app is the engagement of the end users in a gamified approach with these incentives they gain, like the rewards, the coins, etc. Also, the app provides social networking element, creating in this way a better user experience for them. And finally, we provide the users with some comprehensive analytics in order to have more insightful information about this energy efficiency journey they participate. Thank you for your attention, and we look forward to further discussions and improvements upon this.
Thank you, Themi. We have now two presentations about the TwinERGY system development, and I'd like to call Elena Leal and Alexandros Tsanis to take their seats there. And Elena, you have the floor.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me well? My presentation is like about the architecture and the developments that we did in the project, but I wanted to bring, first of all, that as we listen from the beginning of the conversation and also from the pilots, we need to have and not only engage the users, but also to have platforms that allows the users to understand what they are seeing, what they are using, and it's important to have this platform in a well definition, and also to have these platforms that are interoperable in some way and try to make it as easier as possible. I try to put everything in just 3 slides, and I'm not going to go to the technical part, but just you to understand what I'm referring to. So regarding the architecture of TwinERGY, we need to mention that is solid solutions where all the modules that we have been developing in the project and all the physical assets that were developed and were employed in the pilots can communicate among each other. It's important to mention also that the users only need to communicate to the TwinERGY services, and each module communicate between each other and the rest of components. Also, just to mention that the architecture and all the definition of the technical part was based on the SGAM architecture, the SGAM methodology that is followed by different projects in that ambit, and that establish a methodology in which not only the technical layer is taken into consideration for the development of the tools, but also other layers like the business and also the user perspective. With this architecture and with the importance of having a modular and an interoperable architecture, we need to also integrate all the things that we already developed. And to do that, we need, or we can follow a really easy steps, that is the definition of the interconnection between the different components, then the description of the information that is going to be through the different modules, and also the definition of the interfaces and how the protocols and the communication between the modules are done. After that, after we have everything defined, we need to test all the solutions in different steps by doing the integration of the modules, but to verify that all components works as a group, and also in a system way, system testing, to verify that all match and all the project requirements are achieved. And also, and I think that it's the most important part of testing, is test the solution with the users and verify that it's the models that we develop and are integrated in this platform are really operate in real conditions and can fulfill the needs of the different users. So just to finalize, I don't know if you can see it very well, but anyway, here we have all the modules that we already defined and developed in the project that makes possible to achieve all that the pilots already explained to you, to engage the users, to show them how to use the energy. And what is important, and what I think it's really crucial for the project, is that all these modules can interact between them and can exchange information. And to do that, we also have the core data management platform that was also developed in the context of the project that can achieve this interaction between all the modules, the interaction with the pilots. And just to finalize that, to remark that it's crucial to have a really well-established architecture for the tools that we are going to use then in the pilots, and we are going to test in the real environmental conditions, because without good interoperable solutions, good architectures and developments, we cannot achieve all the things that we already need for the energy transition. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. Alexandre.
Hi everyone, I hope you can hear me well. I'm Alexandros Tsanis from Suite 5 Data Intelligence Solutions. This presentation is about how the TwinERGY core data management platform enables energy data value chain integration for innovative data-driven services towards system resilience. Of course, by now you have seen this slide many times, so I'm going to skip it. So, what the TwinERGY core data management platform is offering for the energy sector is the ingestion of data from various sources. Okay, thank you. Ingestion of data from various sources and through different ways, from file uploading to API calls or streaming mechanisms, enhance interoperability of the digitalized energy assets involved in the different TwinERGY pilot sites, ensure that the data and the quality of the data is enhanced, but of course the data are securely stored, ensuring also the privacy of the information within them. One way to ensure that is the flexible access policy handling, meaning that the users uploading their data can apply specific access policies to prevent unauthorized use of their datasets. And of course, the platform offers robust authentication and authorization methods. So, as you saw from the slide that Elena already presented, we placed the TwinERGY core data management platform at the heart here of the interactions. What we do as the platform, we gather demand measurements, generation, storage, or sensing measurements, EV charging data, and sub-metering data. They are fetched into the platform, and with the appropriate handling, we can feed with data a series of developed applications within the TwinERGY project, such as the in different fields, such as the community self-consumption, their management optimization, home energy management, comfort and well-being, flexibility services for ensuring grid resilience, and fair flexibility transactions. Before ending, in a nutshell, with the platform, we aim to increase availability of data assets that were not previously available within the stakeholders of the project, make them accessible and reusable to this wide variety of stakeholders and different actors of the TwinERGY project, and as I said, make them reusable and as of high quality as possible, aiming that way to support the digital energy transition under increased decarbonization and system resilience terms. Thank you.
We thank you all the presenters for the presentations. I guess that we have a few minutes for questions, and we need to have some questions. So the floor is open for questions to every presenter, or some general comments if you have. I will have a question. Patrick said at the end of his presentation that we need to go to the next step. Actually, when we are in a research project, as we go to the finish, we start thinking about the next steps. This always happens. So the question is, have we reached the end? Not of this project, of the needs. And if not, what are some ideas of going on in the next steps after the project?
Can I start with that? I think we haven't reached the end. I think through a lot of the conversations I've had with partners here today, there's still an overwhelming need for change to occur in the way that people consume energy and on demand cyber response and maximising the value from things like PV assets and batteries especially. So I think there is still a lot of work to be done. I think how that work goes forward and whether that's research driven or whether that's driven by industry and driven by aggregators and people like that themselves is a question that I don't know, I don't quite have the answer to at the moment. I think there is a lot of, especially I can only speak from a UK perspective really, but there's a lot of change in the way that UK energy companies are starting to sell energy and starting to be more proactive, like we've discussed and Matt discussed with the Octopus tariff. So there clearly is a desire for change to happen there. I'm not sure whether that comes from a regulatory perspective, whether that comes from an education perspective, going back to what was said very early on this afternoon. So I think there is lots more work to do. Exactly who it is who needs to do that, I don't have a clear idea at the moment. But it's clear through the work we've done through TwinERGY, we've kind of identified there is a possibility for change. And I think between all of us as participants and collaborators, we should continue talking to each other. We should also continue talking to the contacts we've made through this project and understand how we can get that change to be enacted.
Thank you, Patrick. Julia, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Do we have we reached the end regarding the digital twins opportunities?
No. That's absolutely not. I think the technology is just starting to be to gain traction in the market. You know, it was, I think, at the beginning of the project, it was a bit of a very novel term. Now it's made its way in the discourse. It is used a lot more, I would say, but there's still a lot to do in making sure that people understand really how powerful these solutions can be in really driving the transition, the energy transition forward.
Okay, thank you. Elena, Alexandre, can we develop more robust systems? Not for this project. I mean, are there ways to advance our effort and our effectiveness in making more robust systems?
Well, I think that one key part of these systems is the data that we have and how we can achieve this data. And I think that what was said by one of the leader pilot is that the technology has, the problem is not the technology. We have the technology, we have the data, but the problem or what we need to focus is on the users, trying to explain very well how we need their data, how we can process that, and how we can use the data and their habits, not for the benefit of the company, but for their benefits. And I think that that could be the main point, to make the users and the people that can give data to understand that it's the key point for make the solutions and the technology achieve the goals that we need.
Okay. So regarding that data and innovation landscape, it's of course an ongoing exercise. It's an ever evolving landscape when it comes to technology and robust mechanisms to ensure that the data are safeguarded and their privacy and all that. Of course, we can put an end to how we handle the data, but of course, as Elena said, we need to put the users and see the solutions from the user perspective and ensure that they are heard and we can deliver something more robust.
Okay, any other questions? Mattia, can we have a microphone?
Hello, yeah. Couple of things, because there's one thing that I really can't manage to understand fully. I was at a conference yesterday where there's this industry that has built its own metering system that is able to measure 8,000 points per second in order to replicate the energy wave perfectly so they can do analytics and everything. And I'm starting to think, like, it's true, technology is a commodity, data is becoming a commodity, but is there the risk to be in an overflow of data where to treat that data we will need too much energy than the actual savings that we can produce? Because this is something that it's probably not this simple, but it's just a way to kind of spark a discussion on this topic, because I found that everybody now wants data. Yes, data is great, amazing, but then to treat and to manage huge amount of data per single household probably might become challenging in order to be, or challenging to have enough benefits to justify this amount of power that needs to be used.
So you want to have a go? From my perspective, I think I kind of take your point and agree with your point. I think there is a potential for too much data. I think the question is to understand how much data we need in order to support kind of informed decision making and bring it back to the user and the consumer. We could have as much data in the world as we want, and without them being educated and informed in how to understand or do anything with that data, it wouldn't mean anything. So I think the key priority from my perspective is about elevating the knowledge of energy consumers to enable them to understand how they can interact with those markets better. Some data will support that, but I don't think we need 8,000 data points a second in order to support that, no.
Yeah, well, I agree what you said, and additionally, we need to also to focus on how we can manage this data to show them to the users, and in other way to use them to optimize tools and to optimize processes that we can do. And of course, we now have the possibility to achieve or to have massive amounts of data. But I think that the key is also to see or to understand how we can use that to empower the users, to show the information in a really friendly way, so they can understand that and manage the possibilities that they have.
So I agree with Patrick and Elena, and I see your point, Mattia, but as many data as we have, we can make better decisions and data-driven decisions, and produce better solutions for these people. So from the data perspective, as we handle the data in the TwinERGY project, the more the data, the best the solution that we can deliver, and the best, let's say, way to feed the different modules within the project. Because if we didn't have any data or less amount of data, because, and I'm gonna give you a snapshot of our tomorrow's meeting regarding the records in the TwinERGY CDMP. There are 162 million records in the platform. So When it comes to capacity, I think we can deliver that with that kind of millions of records. And as I said, they are, this is a big number, but we can handle it and we can feed and anticipate every need of the different users and the modules.
This is a very quick question, I think. You've all referred to the need for there to be more engagement, more education, and how important citizen participant behaviour is. Do you think that the developers, the technology developers, the industry should be supporting that? Because I wonder where that support for that very important work is going to come from.
I can give another answer if you want, Carolyn. So I think that's a really valid point. I think if you look at, especially again speaking from the Bristol pilot perspective, the amount of work that's been put in to take those participants along that journey, it's not repeatable at scale. So that clearly needs to have some refinement, but potentially there's a kind of early adopter process. So once more people get it and the information cascades between individuals, maybe that's how that happens. So who that comes from, whether that comes from kind of government programs in order to deliver behaviour change, that could be one way. Whether it actually comes from your energy provider, they want to take you along that journey. I know that has happened in the UK with the rollout of smart meters and the way that people are now more informed about how they use electricity, particularly with those smart meters. So that's happened via the energy provider. So I think there's a few different routes, but to me potentially the main one is that kind of snowball effect where well, in Bristol we've got 12 people who understand it. If we had 1,200 people who understood it, then they would tell 1,200 more people, and you could see how that could escalate, and that could be a peer-driven kind of learning journey. So potentially that's the way forward. But how you get beyond that first 12 to the first 1,200, I think, is a really important question.
Yeah, if I may, just that I think that this type of workshops that we are doing here and the projects that the European Commission is promoting, I think that it's like the point for bringing the industry to understand that part of the users and to try to also teach the industry how they should approach to the users to sell things and to make the users more involved. So I think that, of course, there is a lot of things still to do, but with this type of projects, workshops, and try to bring different actors, citizens, industry partners, developers, in the same room is the way to achieve that.
We should finish this session here. I would like to warmly thank the presenters and the audience for the contribution through the questions. And I guess we can go on to finish, to close the workshop. Julia, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so I think there has been a lot said today, and it's time to close. I think we have started putting the right questions on top of the table. No, we have seen a discussion on how to put citizens at the center. Then we have gone through some reality bites. No, we have understand a bit better how had TwinERGY been trying to engage with people, testing all this technology, and putting all those questions forward with the users. And then we saw all the battery of modules and technology, which is really, but that needs a bit more, as we said, no? Settling down, understanding how we can get people maybe not just adopting technology, but being on the definition, trying to design it from the onset, and maybe also try to think a bit better how we can educate and how we can make this snowballing role a bit better. I would like to think that TwinERGY has been a stone on on the way. I think it has. So I just wanted to thank everyone that made it possible today, everyone that came to Barcelona, the experts that participated, the fantastic Ideas for Change team, not twin, digital twin, no, that made this possible today. And I think it's time to wrap up. So thanks, and let's walk and go for dinner, which I think we all deserve.